Good morning. My name is Serena. I'm an educator here at the Keswick Wise and Well Center for Healthy Living here in Baltimore. And today we've got bugs, and we've got mealy bugs to be specific. So we've been working hard to rehab these poor hibiscus trees that got left outside and neglected while our building was shut down. Now we have them root rehabbed, we have them repotted, they are growing, we've got some little blooms on them, so we are really working towards taking them back to their beautiful self. Problem with that is that this plant still is relatively vulnerable. So it's still weak, it's still trying to create all of this new growth that's associated with the rehab process here. So it's more vulnerable to bugs, and that's where mealybugs come in. So mealybugs basically are a tiny, soft-bodied insect, and they produce this fuzzy, nasty white mess, and they typically like to get right here at the stems and the roots of different types of plants. They actually will get on your fruits, your vegetables, all your flowers, and any type of really pretty flowering tree. Now, they are typically also categorized and related to a scale bug, if you're familiar with that. So what they actually do is they get on a weak plant, and then they start to suck all the juices and the nutrients out, which what that eventually causes the leaves to turn yellow. You'll lose your flowers off of them. Sometimes it'll actually create a mold-based fungus as well if they take over completely. We're not going to let that happen today. Luckily, we just noticed that we're starting to get them in the last 2 days. So we're going to fight this early and keep on to it. So what are mealybugs? Let's show you. This right here is a female mealybug. The white ones are the females. You'll rarely ever see a male mealybug. So what the mealybug does is it finds a spot on a weak plant, and it starts to suck the juice and the nutrient out of it. And then as it does that, it's going to create this white, powdery, fuzzy substance it leaves behind, where it's going to lay its eggs. In about 10 days at that point, those eggs are going to hatch, and they are going to crawl off and find another spot on this plant to continue the cycle. So mealybugs can take control very, very quickly. As I said, these guys here haven't taken root. Here you can see that these are actually starting to both, there's one moving and then one is trying to attach itself to our tree. Once they do that, they are even more difficult too. We got lucky last night in that we had a massive rainstorm. And so the power of the wind and the rain actually knocked them off, because we had significant little tufts of these mealybugs all over this plant yesterday. And that is the simplest method, but not necessarily the most effective method for getting rid of mealybugs. You can just really shoot them with a steady stream of water. However, this is only for like 1 or 2 little infestations, and they're likely to come back if you're not killing the actual colony. So if you look closely to where that yellowish, greenish, whitish color knobs are on this plant, this is actually the damage that it does as it sucks out the nutrients of the plant. So even with those few days before we noticed that we had mealybugs, this is what they have already done to our poor little plant. So catching it early is crucial. So how do you get rid of them if shooting them with water or a torrential downpour isn't really the solution? So you've got a couple of different options. The first thing, though, is we really actually want to kill the actual bugs. So ideally, you'd want to take just some rubbing alcohol and place it on a towel or a cotton ball. Just a little. You don't want to pour this directly onto the plant because it will burn them. And then you're going to go to where your mealybugs actually are. That's the wrong one. Gotta find the one that I know is here. And I'm actually just gonna take this bit of rubbing alcohol and I'm just gonna dab it on him, and it kind of dissolves them. And I need to do that as many as possible. Now, if this is a whole lot easier to do when they're fully rooted on your plant. Like mine haven't done that, so I'm looking for individual little bugs to try to do this with. However, right now is the easiest time to stop the infestation. So I'm just coming through where I see little bugs and I'm wiping the stem around that area. So a lot of people skip this step, but from everything that I have learned, read, and do, by skipping this step, you often make it more difficult to beat these guys, especially if you have a lot of them. And as I said, it's a lot easier when they're actually fully stuck to your plant because they're much easier to see, and you're just literally taking rubbing alcohol to white little fuzzy powdery tufts that are on the leaves and the stems of your plant. Now that we've gotten all of the visible bugs treated with the rubbing alcohol, we go on to step 2. You've got a couple of options for step 2. You can use a commercial insecticide. We're going to use a homemade insecticide, basically because it's simple, we have the ingredients, it is effective, and it does have less of a chemical footprint for our plant. Other options that you could use are neem oil, which comes from the neem plant. And basically, you would spray that onto your plant. Now, using something like neem oil is beneficial kind of in a couple of different ways. Because it penetrates into the plant, it actually gives it some ability to fight bugs from the inside. And it is also antifungal and antibacterial, so it's going to give it a little bit long-term process. But if you don't have it, you can use what we have. There's also an option that you can make your own organic kitchen spray, and I'm hoping to be able to show you that one day really soon, but I don't have the ingredients to do that today. So we're going to go with our own homemade insecticide. So you just need a gallon of water and some dish detergent, preferably either plain Dawn or Ivory liquid soap, one of those two. You want something that doesn't have perfumes, dyes, lotions, other ingredients from there. So all you're going to do is take your dish soap, and you need a teaspoon of it into a gallon of water. Stir that up, get it sudsy, and then we are going to pour it into a spray bottle. The nice thing is this is just water and dish soap, so you can put this to the side and refill your bottle as needed. And this type of insecticide can be used harmlessly on both flowers and edible plants and vegetables. So that's the nice thing of this, because you're going to wash it anyways, and you're going to be washing it with dish soap. So let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Nope. So now we've got our spray bottle full of our detergent and water, and make sure it's on. We're just going to spray this whole plant. We're going to really focus on the areas that we know has bugs. Getting down into the top in these little flowers, because these mealy bugs like to hide and take over, and then you're not going to get flowers to bloom. We're going to do this throughout the whole plant. You're going to check it in a couple of days, repeat. Sometimes you might want to do insecticide one time, the next time do neem, the next time try something else, because these little mealybugs are very difficult to get rid of, and especially once they've fully started to attach themselves and are laying eggs. If you get it plants, especially an indoor plant, after about 3 applications, you would only do this about weekly. If about 3 times, you're going to either have to have kind of 2 options. You're going to have to cut that plant way back and more or less start over, or you're going to need to get rid of the plant, because mealy bugs are opportunistic and they will move to your other house plants, creating an even bigger problem. So that's what we do to get rid of mealy bugs. I'm going to continue to spray this tree and get rid of those creepy crawlies. Have a wonderful day.